9/11 is the biggest lie of our lifetime.
Did George Bush do 9/11?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know about that one.
Actually, I don't know.
Is that the president?
I don't think so. That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous?
It is.
Why is it?
I gotta go.
Do you think it's possible George Bush did 9/11?
Wait for me right now.
Oh, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but hear me out. George Bush, 9/11. On the day before 9/11, the Secretary of Defense, David Rumsfeld, reported that the Pentagon somehow lost $2.3 trillion. How did they make the public forget about this missing money? See this plane? 9/11. But who am I kidding? The government can print money. Who cares? So, in addition to the $2.3 trillion missing dollars, many believe that the Twin Towers and Building 7 were the result of a controlled demolition, not the impact of a plane. Let's say George Bush was evil enough to pull this all off. Why? Many believe that Building 7 was a secret headquarters for the entire plan related to 9/11. Seem a bit far-fetched? Maybe. I know nothing, but what if I talked to a first responder on 9/11 who was the New York Fire Commissioner? Let me introduce Chris Joya. Chris, who are you?
I'm an ex-chief in the Franklin Square and Munson Fire Department.
For a variety of reasons you're about to explain, you believe it may have been a false flag?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And what is a false flag?
False flag operation is an operation that is conducted by a government and to make it seem that some group or entities committed some acts which require the government to attack a country. Thomas Hetzel was a member of this department.
Right there.
Yes, and he was killed in the towers. We lost a lot of friends.
Yeah. You were on site that day.
I was working across the river doing my construction job, and then the fire department got called to duty to assist. Within a couple of days, we wound up down at Ground Zero. That's me, almost 20 years ago. This is what I saw, and then there's this South Tower coming down.
How did you come to the conclusion that 9/11 was a false flag?
For the first 10 years, I did not think anything other than the official narrative. Then, after being shown a close-up video of building number 7 coming down, and that got me going because it's obvious to me that building 7 was a controlled demolition because the building collapses from the bottom down.
Can you basically break down your experience in firefighting and construction for us?
Okay, I've been involved with heavy construction for over 30 years, been involved with the constructions of high-rise steel frame buildings in Manhattan. I've worked on bridges, and I know what goes into these buildings. I know what fire loads that they can handle, how fire is going to act. The trade centers were unique in that they were designed to withstand the impact of a jet. From what I understand, the outer skeleton of the building, the outer columns was like a fishnet, and you had these inner core columns which were substantial, thick steel beams to withstand 4 or 5 times what the loads were. The engineers always over-design a building. No steel frame building has ever collapsed before or since 9/11. So that should say something right there. And it said that building 7, it was a progressive collapse, that it was caused by fire. But progressive collapse, unlike the Twin Towers collapse from the top down. That's a progressive collapse.
Sure.
Floor by floor by floor. But if you look at the videos of Building 7 collapsing, it collapses uniformly. It's collapsing from the bottom. The building stays intact all the way to the bottom of the ground, and you could see the sides caving in on it. For a building to collapse uniformly, which the videos show, all the load-bearing columns would have had to have failed simultaneously. Now, fire doesn't act like that. I came across an analogy of the Twin Towers, and if you could visualize cast iron stoves stacked one on top of each other. The stoves up at the top, yes, there's fire and they've been damaged, but the stoves on the bottom, they haven't been damaged.
Okay.
So the structure underneath all of that is intact. So it's impossible for a building to collapse near free fall speed and increase
without a controlled demolition.
You're running into the path of most resistance. So something else is going on. I don't believe that it was just the planes or the fires. I think that, and they examined the dust, and they found what they call thermitic material, which is like an explosive incendiary, which was in the dust samples, and that's documented. There were reports of the buildings were undergoing an extensive elevator renovation in the 2 or 3 years prior to. All kinds of workers, they had access to the cores of the building. And on the day of the attack, the elevator company would not assist in the operations of the elevators. And the elevator company it subsequently went out of business. And a couple of years after that, the information is out there. At one time when I was